Today on Woodturning, I've got a bright idea.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Easy Wood Tools makes carbide tip turning tools, the Easy Chuck, beading cutters, live and drive centers, faceplates, and wire burning kits. Easy Wood Tools, easy to use, easy to own. So today I wanted to go a little retro. Does this look familiar? The old-fashioned C9 Christmas light bulb. I think it's a really neat project. We're going to be using some walnut and I think some maple, and then we're going to make this cool little ornament. Before we get started, I want to thank our sponsors, Robust Lathes and Easy Wood Tools, because without their support, we wouldn't be here. And again, that'd be absolutely no fun. However, if you are looking for a new lathe, give me a call because I am an authorized Robust dealer and it adds nothing to your cost. And if you're still in the buying mode, go to woodturningwithtim.com because I have lots of angle gauges, rulers, things like that, and a really cool hollowing system for sale. Daddy needs money. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, now let's get back to our project. So I've got the piece of wood attached to Easy Wood's new 3/8" mandrel worm screw thingy, and we're going to round this out. So I'm just going to take a roughing gouge, turn this on, crank the speed up since it's small diameter, and this won't take long. And I'm just moving my body through the cut. So I lean my weight back to my left and then shift my weight to my right. And you don't take off a lot of wood at a time, just take your time. It's not a race. This is actually the fun part of turning. So I think I'm round, no bumpy sounds, so that's good. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start making the shape of the bulb. And I drilled a hole in this end to receive a tenon from the threads, or the, what would you call that, the screw part of the light bulb. So now we're just going to start making this shape, and this will be the end here, and I'll probably end the tip there somewhere. This might be a little bit larger, I don't know. It's going to be different than the one I made because I never make anything the same way twice. So I'm thinking of this like a giant bead, and I'm just taking away excess wood right now. I'm probably going to end the bulb somewhere in there. So we'll come back, take a little bit at a time. You just have to sneak up on it. You take too much wood, you can't get a good cut. Now I've got the lathe going at about, what was it? 2700, 3000 RPM. That's what I like about the American Beauty. I can get it really cranked up high there. And that speed allows me to do this narrow spindle shape, and it moves the wood fast enough that it cuts well. So I'm not going for a perfect shape right now, I'm just roughing it out. This is the critical part here. The top of the bulb has a very distinct shape, and you don't want to screw that up because that will then take away from the look of it. So I've got to slowly arc into that shape there. You can see we're getting closer to it, but I've got to bring it back a little bit more that way. Always good to point with a sharp tool a piece of wood. There, that's looking good. So I'm going to smooth this out a little bit, and then we'll go to sanding, and then we'll do some really interesting things with it. So now I'm going to nibble away the wood on the end here and cut the tip off. And the 3/8" worm screw mandrel thingy there from Easy Wood will hold it. And then I can sand the very end here. So this is always fun to do. You want to take as much wood off as you need to before you part it off, because this sticking out here will want to vibrate a little bit. So if I leave a big chunk of wood on there and then try to turn it off without any support, it'll be a problem. Now these bulbs have a rounded end, so they're not sharp. There we go. Also, if you cut this too close to the end, the grain might tear and it'll leave a little hole in the bottom of your piece. So there we got a little separation. There we go. Cool. So I'm going to take that, sand that end right there, and get it to where I want exactly. Public service announcement right now. We're getting ready to use trans tint dyes. They're wonderful, but man, if you spill trans tint dye, it sticks to whatever it hits and it ain't coming off. So that's not blood. That's when I dropped one of the bottles of red trans tint dye and it splattered down here, all the way from here, left a nice trail. So it looks like I've had a massacre in my shop, but I really haven't. Well, wood's been massacred, yes. So down here, we have green trans tint dye, and then we have denatured alcohol. So 5-to-1 ratio is what I wanted. So I've got the green in there right now. And so we'll come over here with a paper towel. Since the American Beauty has stainless steel ways, you can clean trans tint dye off of them. I know because I've tried it. So we're going to put this on quickly. We want to get it wet and go all the way around. If you don't move quickly, you'll get a seam from where you started to where you match back up. Now as I do this, it's absorbing a little bit more tint every time because the alcohol dries really quickly. So I'll come in and get a little bit more. Now the idea is you do this to the darkness that you want. You might take a break, let it dry a little bit, put it back on, try to do some more. You can notice right here we have a lighter line, and that's just the nature of the wood here. Well, put my finger there, made a darker line. But what you can do is you can dab it, make it a little darker there, just kind of let it soak up on its own. And then you can go back again, and then you can do this. So that looks pretty good. Now it's also kind of flat looking, and let me carefully get rid of all this stuff. So one trick, if you hold that rag in your hand and pull your glove off, you've just contained it so you're not going to mess anything up now. Let me do it with this too, with my little cup, because that stuff, we're done with it. So boom, it's in there. Oh, it's cold on my fingers though. That's cool. So I'll just set that over there out of the way. Now, we want that to dry. So, I got my handy dandy heat gun. And the alcohol is really fast. Some people actually take a lighter to this and light it and burn off the alcohol. I haven't tried that. Would be kind of fun. But I want to dry this because we're going to prepare it then to be able to put on the final finish, which will give it a nice glossy look. Okay, so we're going to put on some Watco Crystal Clear Lacquer. Always do this in a well-ventilated area if you're not shooting a video. So I'm going to put my American Beauty all the way down on what I call creep. That's pretty slow, isn't it? And I'm on the high-speed setting on it. So we're going to just put on a light coat, and I'm just going to let that spin until it dries. Now, if I want to, I can come back with my handy-dandy heat gun and lightly apply it on there. You don't want to get too crazy on it, though, because it will raise up. Not the grain, but I know it's the lacquer will peel up. So I'm going to let that dry by air, and then we'll put another coat on it in a minute. And after a few coats, we'll be ready to move on to the little screw top part of the project. So we got the finish on there, and now I just want to put some wax on here, and you see how that really brings it out. So now we've got this where we want it. We're going to work on the next piece. So now I'm taking the diameter of the hole here. I guess I could have just taken the diameter off of the drill bit, but I just like doing it better this way. So I need to make a tenon on this piece that diameter. So we'll start this up, get a parting tool, and we're going to go high speed. It's always fun trying to get this caliper around the GoPro. So come in one-handed here. I have a little extra wood in case I screw up, but hopefully won't have that happen. So I've just got it resting right there. And once it passes over, getting close, there, okay, it passed over. Now, the cool thing is I have a steb center in here, which has a spring in it. So I can take this like so, and take it off, and that's still spinning. So that's pretty cool. Now I can bring up my blank here and see pretty good. Now that's not really tight, so I'm gonna make my tenon just a little bit wider. Whoops, something fell over there. But this way I never have to stop the lathe. If you're trying to turn out a bunch of stuff, this is the way you do it. It's really quick, really fast, and really easy. So now I made that just a hair wider. I don't need it to be terribly long. Now, we want to make this shape here. Now, how do we do that? Let me show you. So basically, trying to turn 4 exact shape beads is a real PIA. And I'm really bad at beads. So EasyWood has a very cool carbide set of bead making cutters. So there's my bead inside of that. I'm just simply going to press this in and work. They have lots of different sizes, so if you don't have the bead you need, go for a different one. So I'm just going to bring it in straight. I'm also only going to do half this bead here because this is just right on the edge of being too narrow to fit on the top of my ornament. So I'm going to cheat it a bit and see what I can do here. So I'm going to fake a half thread in there. Now we'll go for full thread here. I guess that's what you call them since they thread into a light socket. This is so cool. And you can rotate it a little bit, and you can see how it's smoothed out there. I'm happy. I am so happy. If I did this by hand, it would take me forever. My goodness. Okay, so that's our last thread right there. So the next thing we'll do is we're going to come in with the parting tool here. Stay a little bit wide. This is all waste wood here. Now I'm going to make a nice clean straight cut, a light cut across the top. And although it doesn't need it, I'll do a little bit of sanding here. And I think I'll probably go with a polyurethane finish on this. So I'm just going to liberally put some poly on here so it goes into the grooves. And I poly my lathe. Okay, so that I'm going to soak up all the excess now and switch to another paper towel and use the speed of the lathe to dry it. So there we go. One more paper towel, turn this on, keep the splashes from hitting Brian. There we go. Okay, cool. Try to get in those grooves there. That's why it's paper towel, so it breaks away. Awesome possum. Just gonna part it off, clean up the top, and we're ready to assemble. Now for the assembly instructions. And it's difficult. I can write it down for you if you want it. So we're going to take this little screw hook, which has a little neat little, I don't know, bottom to it, decorative bottom. So we'll screw this into the walnut. I just used the awl to make a little starter hole. So I'm just spinning that on. It goes so fast. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So here's the assembly. You take the pieces, put a little glue there, and you go, boom, and you're done. Tough and difficult, huh? So that is how you make a old retro light bulb, a Christmas light bulb. I think it was a lot of fun. It's really cool, and this is going to look really good hanging on the tree. Until the next time on Wood Turning, keep turning.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
EasyWood Tools makes carbide tip turning tools, the Easy Chuck, beading cutters, live and drive centers, faceplates, and wire burning kits. EasyWood Tools, easy to use, easy to own.